Welcome to Guide to IELTS. In this video, we'll work on this IELTS Writing Task 2 question. Weddings are getting bigger and more expensive. What is the reason for this? Is it a positive or negative development? This is a good example of a question that seems very easy at the first glance, but you may struggle with what points to write. So let's get right to it. First, read and understand the question. Whether the question seems easy or difficult, do not skip this step. If the question had been, wedding celebrations are big and expensive, it would have a different meaning. There would have been no comparison there. We could have written about why they were big and expensive in the past and how the trend has continued to date. But the way the question is given to us, it is about comparing the trend of today to the past, even though the past is not mentioned in the question. In this case, bigger and more expensive imply that we are supposed to compare wedding celebrations of today to those of the past. Next, there are two questions. First, what is the reason? Because the word used here is reason and not reasons, it is acceptable if you give only one reason. If this had instead been, what might be the reasons for this, or what are the reasons for this, it would have been crucial to write at least two reasons to ensure that the Writing Task 2 assessment criteria of task response are met. After answering the first question, we have to answer the second question. Is it a positive or negative development? The most obvious essay format we can have in response to this question is introduction followed by reason or reasons, followed by why is it a positive trend, then why is it a negative trend, and then a conclusion which summarizes the essay and has our opinion about whether it is a positive or negative development. However, there are other possible formats too. All of them are on your screen. Observe that we can just mention the positives and then clearly mention that there are no negatives and vice versa. It's not something I recommend. If possible, you should always write about both sides and then conclude depending on which side has more points or which side has stronger points. However, if you only have points to support one side, clearly mention that according to you there are no points to support the other side. We'll be writing sample essays using the three major different formats that are mentioned here. The next step in our writing process is planning of the writing. One thing to keep in mind is that it is not an agree-disagree question. You cannot write that no, weddings are not getting bigger. People are having simpler weddings. That is not an option. We have to take the given statement as a fact. Idea generation, that is what points to write, is something that many IELTS candidates find very difficult. In this case, you may think, I don't attend grand functions. I haven't attended a big wedding ever or maybe in a long time. What do I write? Start by imagining why people have big weddings. Even if you don't know them personally, you would know of celebrities who have celebrations that they spend a bomb on. Think why. You may know of neighbors, relatives, or friends who have spent good amounts when they got married. And if not big weddings, people have grand parties and celebrations otherwise. Maybe a big birthday celebration. The reasons would probably be the same. So let's think why. 1. People have more money than before. They have more disposable income, that is, they have more money to spend. Another reason I can think of is that sometimes big parties are a way to show off, to show the world how much money one has. And consumerism and materialism have certainly increased in recent times. Everything is becoming louder and grander. Another reason is that it is a good way to meet family and friends. Whenever there is a grand celebration, we meet people we have not met in a long time. We have 3 points here. Even just 1 point would have been enough to make sure that we are answering the question. But then there could be an issue of word count. If you ever feel you don't have enough points to write a 250-word essay, use examples to elaborate on the points you're writing. Now we start listing out why it is a positive development and why it is a negative development. Although when planning, I'll list a few points for both the positive side and the negative one. When writing, I'll include points depending on which side I'm taking. If the essay I'm writing is only saying that it's a positive development and no negative at all, Even in the paragraph about reasons, I'll avoid writing about consumerism, etc. Let's start planning now. On side of the positive, one good thing is that it is good for the economy. People are getting employed, lots of things are being bought. All of this helps the economy. Another positive is that as a result of these celebrations, we meet our relatives, we meet our friends. And this is especially needed in today's fast-paced life. Let's now think of negatives. One negative is an extension of the reason we had written, which is that people have grand celebrations to show off. This encourages materialism and consumerism. Also, another bad outcome of this is that sometimes people borrow money to have such celebrations. Another possible negative that we could have written is that such excesses are bad for the environment. Anything in excess usually harms the environment. It's bad for society too, as it is a testimony to the stark difference in the wealth and lifestyle of the rich and the poor. I won't be using these 2 points in my essay, but just see how many points we have here. You just need 4 to 5 good points, all questions included, to have a good 250-word essay. Before we start writing, there is one more step. Think about the vocabulary you'd use. It doesn't have to be a lot of big words, but a variety of words is absolutely essential to score a good band. The question mentions wedding. One synonym of that would be marriage, but we can also write nuptials or tie the knot. For ceremonies, we can have words like celebrations, festivities. Even words like parties, affairs, or functions can be used. In this way, consciously think about the vocabulary that you can use before you start writing. Depending on which format I'm following, I'll choose the points to use. 3 essays using 3 different formats, and all are correct. The first paragraph will be more or less the same in all 3. The first paragraph is the introductory paragraph. We can start this with a general statement followed by a paraphrasing of the question, or just with the paraphrasing of the question. There are obviously many different ways of paraphrasing the question. One of them is, in the last couple of decades, the scale of the celebrations during marriage ceremonies has been expanding at an unprecedented rate. 2 other options of paraphrasing are on your screen. This will follow with, this is a reflection of the society we live in, and I personally believe that it is an overall beneficial trend. If instead I'm writing an essay which is strongly towards positive, I'll replace the second half of the sentence with, I strongly believe it is a beneficial trend. And in the essay which focuses on negatives, I'll write, I strongly believe it is an adverse trend. Instead of writing, this is a reflection of the society we live in, we could also write, many social and personal changes are responsible for this. On to the second paragraph now, which has to give the reasons. This could be the same for all 3 formats, but in the essay that is focusing only on positives, I'll avoid writing the second point about showing off. The first reason I had was about people having higher disposable income. So I'll write this as, the key reason for grand nuptial festivities is that an increasing number of individuals have higher disposable income than ever before. This amount is splurged on a variety of things, including throwing off huge parties when one ties the knot. I could just end the second paragraph here, or I could include about the showing off part. Moreover, this practice of lavish and exorbitant spending is a result of the consumerist society, or I could write consumerist social environment that we live in, where both acquiring material possessions and showing off one's riches are used to impress others. It is a sad reality of our times that an individual is usually respected for what he owns rather than the kind of person he is. After this, in the essay, which I'm mentioning only positives, I'll write 1 paragraph with positives, followed by a conclusion which will clearly mention that according to me there are no negatives, and I strongly believe it's a positive development. Similarly, where I mention only negatives, the third paragraph will be only about negatives, followed by mentioning in the conclusion that there are no positives. However, if possible, you should always try to write both sides and then conclude depending on what points you have made. All 3 essays are on your screen now. They may be a little difficult to read here, but the direct link to these essays on our website, guide2ielts.com, is in the description of this video. In the essays, notice how, instead of repeating words like celebrations or ceremonies, words such as festivities and affairs have been used. When mentioning big celebrations, instead of repeating the word big, other words such as elaborate and grand have been mentioned. A list of some of the synonyms and some of the phrases that we have used in these essays is on your screen now. Also, for your benefit, here is a rough template that we have followed when writing these essays. Hope this helped you. Do like, share and comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It makes a lot of difference for us. All the very best to you.